Real estate is a significant part of our lives, whether we own a home, rent an apartment, or even just go to work in an office building. Understanding the basics of real property ownership and leasing is crucial for anyone involved in these transactions. This essay will guide you through the essentials of real property, ownership types, leasing agreements, and the rights and responsibilities of both landlords and tenants. Owning real property means having certain rights to a piece of land and any structures on it. These rights can be bought, sold, inherited, or leased. Leasing, on the other hand, is a contractual agreement where the owner or landlord grants another party, the tenant, the right to occupy and use the property for a specific period in exchange for rent. Navigating the world of real estate transactions can be complex. By understanding the different types of ownership, lease agreements, and the rights and obligations of each party, individuals can confidently engage in real estate transactions, whether buying a home, renting an apartment, or simply understanding their rights and responsibilities as a tenant or landlord. This exploration of real property ownership and leasing aims to provide a clear and concise overview of this important aspect of our lives. Real property, often referred to as real estate, goes beyond just the physical land. It encompasses the land itself, any buildings or structures on it, and the natural resources found on the property. This includes trees, water, minerals, and anything else attached to the land. To differentiate, personal property consists of movable items, like furniture, vehicles, and clothing. These are not permanently attached to the land and are considered separate from real property. Understanding the distinction between real and personal property is vital in legal contexts, especially in transactions, inheritance, and taxation. For instance, imagine you sell a piece of land. The house on it, being part of the real property, is included in the sale unless specified otherwise. However, your furniture, being personal property, is not automatically included and needs a separate agreement if you wish to sell it along with the house. Real property ownership exists in various forms, each with its own set of rights and limitations. The most common types are fee simple, life estate, and leasehold. Fee simple represents the most complete form of ownership. The owner has absolute control over the property, including the right to use, sell, lease, or even destroy it, subject to local regulations. This ownership is inheritable and passes down to heirs upon the owner's death. In contrast, a life estate grants ownership for the lifetime of a specific person, known as the life tenant. Upon their death, the property ownership reverts back to the original owner or a designated third party, known as the remainder man. Life estates are often used in estate planning to provide for family members. Finally, a leasehold estate grants temporary possession and use rights of a property to a tenant through a lease agreement with the owner. This agreement outlines the terms of occupancy, rent payments, and duration. Unlike fee simple or life estate, leasehold ownership doesn't transfer property title. When multiple individuals share ownership of real property, it's typically through co-ownership methods like tenancy in common or joint tenancy. Each method carries distinct legal implications, impacting ownership rights, responsibilities, and inheritance. Tenancy in common allows each co-owner to hold a separate and divisible interest in the property. They can own unequal shares, and each owner can dispose of their share independently, either through sale, transfer, or inheritance. This flexibility makes it a common choice for business partnerships or unmarried couples. Joint tenancy, however, hinges on the concept of right of survivorship. Each co-owner has an equal and undivided interest in the property, and upon the death of one owner, their share automatically passes to the surviving owner or owners. This arrangement is common between spouses or family members who intend for the property to remain within the family. Understanding the nuances of tenancy in common and joint tenancy is crucial when entering into shared property ownership. Choosing the right method depends on the specific needs and intentions of the co-owners, ensuring clarity and avoiding potential disputes in the future. Section 5, Landlord and Tenant Responsibilities, a two-way street. In a lease agreement, both landlords and tenants have specific responsibilities outlined by law and the lease document. Understanding these obligations is crucial for a successful and legally sound landlord-tenant relationship. Landlords have a fundamental duty to provide a habitable dwelling. This includes ensuring functioning plumbing, heating, and electrical systems, as well as maintaining the property in a safe and sanitary condition. They must also respect a tenant's right to quiet enjoyment of the property, free from unreasonable disturbances. Tenants, on the other hand, are obligated to pay rent on time and maintain the property in a clean and responsible manner, avoiding damage beyond normal wear and tear. They must also adhere to the terms outlined in the lease agreement, such as restrictions on subletting or pet ownership. Open communication and mutual respect are essential for a harmonious landlord-tenant relationship. Addressing issues promptly and adhering to the agreed-upon terms ensures a smooth and legally compliant tenancy. Section 6. Lease termination, ending the agreement. A lease agreement, like any contract, outlines the conditions for its termination. Understanding these conditions is essential for both landlords and tenants to ensure a legally sound conclusion to the tenancy. The most common way to end a lease is by reaching its natural expiration date. Once the agreed-upon lease term ends, the tenant surrenders the property back to the landlord, assuming all obligations have been met. However, a lease can also be terminated before its expiration date under specific circumstances. Mutual agreement between the landlord and tenant, often due to unforeseen circumstances, can lead to early termination. Breach of contract by either party, such as non-payment of rent by the tenant or failure to maintain habitable conditions by the landlord, can also lead to termination. In such cases, legal action may be necessary to enforce the termination and address any damages incurred. Section 7. Evictions and tenant rights, navigating difficult situations. Eviction is a legal process by which a landlord can remove a tenant from a property. It's a last resort and typically arises from serious lease violations, such as consistent non-payment of rent or engaging in illegal activities on the property. Landlords must follow specific legal procedures to carry out an eviction. This typically involves providing proper notice to the tenant, allowing them an opportunity to rectify the situation or contest the eviction in court. Tenants, however, have legal protections against wrongful evictions. They have the right to due process, ensuring they are not unfairly or illegally removed from the property. This means landlords must have valid grounds for eviction and adhere to the legally mandated procedures. Understanding eviction laws and tenant rights is crucial for both parties involved in a landlord-tenant relationship. It ensures that landlords can reclaim their property when necessary, while safeguarding tenants from unlawful and unfair removal from their homes. In conclusion, understanding the basics of real property ownership and leasing is essential for anyone involved in real estate transactions. From defining real property and exploring different ownership types to comprehending lease agreements, landlord-tenant responsibilities, termination methods, and eviction procedures, this essay has provided a concise overview of these critical aspects. By grasping these concepts, individuals can navigate the complexities of real estate with confidence and ensure their rights and interests are protected.